In this video, I wanted to break down exactly how you can assess whether or not your business is one, ready to integrate AI, and two, exactly how you can go about doing that. I use a version of this assessment when I'm working with clients or when I'm working with other businesses, including my own, to understand which parts of my business would benefit the most from AI and also how I can quickly implement AI throughout my business processes. And this is kind of hard for people to understand because first, they're not aware of what parts of their business are driving most of the revenue or what parts of their business are taking up the most amount of time. Basically, we're going to go through this assessment, and this is a very high level overview of how this works. So I want you to watch the video and think of ways that you can kind of specify this within your own business. So let's get into the diagram that I've created. Here we have the assessment. So this is a breakdown of a marketing agency, and this is the example that we're going to use for this video. So we have a marketing agency here, and the first thing that I would do is first of all understand each part of their business. What steps do they have to take with their clients in order to provide a successful result? And the first thing and the most important thing for them, in my opinion, is client acquisition and onboarding. Because if you don't have any acquisitions or an onboarding process, how are you going to retain the clients in order to do the work for them? So that is the first item that we have here is client acquisition and onboarding. This is where we have our prospects and lead generation. This is where we create our proposals and we provide negotiations. Now, this can be separated out into two separate steps. However, for the purpose of this video, I have it in one. And now we're going to go back to the rest of this. So we have strategy and development. That's their second part of their business. So once they've onboarded a client, they are now going to develop a strategy for that client. So that entails market research and analysis. It entails defining their target audience and then setting marketing objectives and goals. This is typically what happens in a marketing agency or any form of agency for that matter. So if you are in a service-based business, this could very easily apply to what you do. And then the next part of what they offer in terms of their services is creative development. So this is the part of the relationship where they've gathered all of the information about the client has paid, they've gone through some initial meetings to establish goals and objectives, and now is when they get to work, they do their creative work. So they're designing the brand identities, they're developing content for various platforms, etc. So that is just a basic overview of what a marketing agency would do for their clients. Now, I would probably spread this out, and there are a few other things obviously within this that marketing agencies can offer their clients. I would even also say that offboarding should be a part of the process. But again, for this video, we're going to keep it short and sweet. And this is basically the bulk of most service-based businesses. And if you have a product-based business, you can apply the same assessment to that as well. Just identify what parts of your business are necessary in terms of keeping the business running. You also want to think about systems and processes that you do on a daily basis that you can automate, or things that are repetitive that you can save a lot of time doing with AI. Okay, so let's go back to this. The next part of this assessment is basically taking those key parts of your service or your product that you offer and then breaking it down into something kind of like this, where it says client acquisition and onboarding, strategy and development, and creative development, which were those three pillars that we talked about above. Now you want to rate from 1 to 5 on whether or not this part of the business makes money, and you want to understand the length of time. How long does it take us to do this part of the business? And then how much does it cost for us to complete this part of the business? And just taking my example in mind, my marketing agency, this is, for example, a client of mine that I'd be sitting down with them and discussing, saying, hey, I really want you guys to think about, of these three parts of your business, which one makes the most money, which one takes the most time, and which one costs the most to complete. And then provide a number 1 to 5 for each one of those businesses. This is going to help us understand which part of the business needs the most attention as soon as possible. So this will help us rank our strategy in terms of AI implementation based on what needs the most attention. And so here, based on my example, it looks as though client acquisition and onboarding has a total of 15. So this is indicating that client and acquisition onboarding makes us the most money, obviously, because we make clients. It takes the longest amount of time because of all of the processes that we have to go through during the onboarding and the client acquisition. But then it also costs the most to complete because of the amount of time our employees are spending on this part of the process. So this would be an indication that we essentially need to focus in on client acquisition and onboarding for our AI implementation strategy. This is where implementing some form of AI model or some sort of automation or some sort of AI software or solution would help us within our business. So far, what we've done is we've identified the key parts of our business. And in this example, we are referring to client acquisition and onboarding, strategy development, and creative development. This can be translated to a lot of different types of businesses. So even if you're not a marketing agency, you still at some part of your business are probably dealing with one of those three things. We then applied a number to each one of these in terms of how costly are they, how much time does it take, and then how much money does it make for us as a business. This will help us identify and rank what we need to focus on first. So next, we're going to go into how to break it down into phases. This is really important because even if you are going to attempt this on your own to incorporate AI into your business, you don't want to do it all at once. And that was kind of the reason behind us taking the step to provide a numerical value to each part of the business so that we know what needs to be addressed first. So next we have the phases. So I like to do this because it helps me break the project down in a more manageable way. So phase 1, for example, is to create AI-driven onboarding and client intake. How long is this going to take? About a month. And this is where you want to also identify the objective, the action, the deliverable, and the status of what this would look like. You don't have to get that granular, but I think it's great to start collecting data at this point in your implementation because data is key. And when you understand, for example, in phase 1, how much time or if you've reached your objectives within the client onboarding phase, then you can apply that to other phases of your business. So you can have an understanding of just about how much time it's going to take, how much effort it's going to take, what worked and what didn't work, etc. This is a learning process, so you want to be sure to keep track of everything that you're doing. So the next phase would be phase 2, where we are implementing AI-driven strategy development. And then phase 3 is where we're implementing creative development. And then phase 4 would be team integration. Now, I've read a lot of books on AI integration and I've studied a lot of companies, and phase 4 is probably something that you would want to start with in general, or end with in this case, because educating your team on how to integrate AI and how to use it and the benefits of it is going to be the most important part of this operation in your business, because you can implement all of these things and you can incorporate them into your business. However, if your team isn't utilizing them, they kind of just sit there. And that's been the biggest problem with a lot of companies when they go to find AI solutions, is that their culture and their employees are not grasping onto it because 1, they weren't educated, and 2, they don't even believe in the capabilities of AI. So depending on the size of your organization, I would typically like to say starting with the education is really, really important. But if you are kind of like a smaller team, or if it's just you and your business at this moment, you can do that at the end of the implementation. So now I have a real life example of what phase 2, for example, would look like when I'm working with a client. And phase 2 is the AI-driven lead generation implementation. So let's just say that is what phase 2 is here in this example. Essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to deploy an AI-powered CRM. So if your client isn't already using some sort of AI system, that would be probably the first place to start. The next thing is, and when I say your client, it could be you are your client in this case. Next, we have integrating AI-based analytics for lead targeting. So A part of my assessment that I like to provide for my clients is an AI success metrics and analytics tracker. And so essentially what this does is that we have identified specifically for the client what kind of analytics we want to start tracking to make sure that this AI implementation is doing something for their company. This is the only way that we're going to know that this is effective in not only saving us time, but also making us more money, and then also getting us more leads or more customers to our business. So then one of the next actions that we have is deliver an AI-driven content strategy. So that was just an example of what this client needed as part of phase 2 of their implementation strategy. And again, I want you to keep all of this in mind. All right, and then we have deliverables. So this is how we know that we've actually done the work, is once we've been able to provide the client, or once you've been able to establish all of these deliverables for your business, you know that that part or this phase has been completed. And I have here in my timeline is going to take about a month. And that is just specifically for this client, but you and your business, you can give yourself as much time as you need to do this, because I know a lot of this is new information. So don't try to do all of it at once. So once you've done this AI assessment and you've understood which parts of your business would benefit the most from implementing AI, the next thing you want to do is you want to understand what kind of metrics you should be tracking so that you know that your implementation strategy based on your assessment has provided you with some value from the very beginning. So here we have the AI success metrics and analytics. And again, this is for a client that I was working with, but essentially their main focus was on lead generation. So the metrics that we would be following throughout this project is how much they have increased their lead generation since the implementation of our AI tools. What's their lead conversion rate? Were they able to convert more leads after the implementation? How much did it cost for them to get this lead? So these are all metrics that we were able to measure before getting started and then after. So we have the baseline data and then the post implementation. And this is where we're able to really track the success of these changes, because I'm a firm believer that a lot of these changes are going to be seen right away. Maybe not drastically, but we will see that there's going to be an ease of usage for CRMs. There's going to be an influx of leads because they have less friction to conversion, meaning that they see your piece of content, they click on a link, and boom, they're a client and they're now entered into your CRM where you can retarget them. And those are the types of automations that a lot of businesses are lacking. And so this is where keeping track of those metrics comes in handy. Now, if you made it to the end of the video, I have a link down below where you can take a special AI assessment that will essentially generate all of this for you. It'll give you an AI roadmap. It'll also give you success metrics that you should be tracking. Now, this is a personalized tool of mine that I've created. So you will be receiving communication from me directly on your assessment. And from there, you can take it and begin implementing AI into your business today. But be sure to like and subscribe and come back to this video, because I will be sharing other methods on how to begin integrating AI into your business, whether you are starting out or whether you've been running a business for some time. There are so many solutions out there for you, and now is the time to take advantage of it. So please let me know what you think in the comments down below, and please be sure to check out that assessment.